You know, people say that Jews control the media, and we do. And you know why? Because we're really good at it. I've never heard anyone say, why are all those black dudes in the NBA? Because they're better at dunking, just like Jews are better at whatever joke my Jew writers come up with.
The suits from the record company just got here.
Oh, okay. Scared? Little? Well, you should be.
Those Jews control show business.
Those Jews control show business.
Hello, I'm Adam Green with No More News. It is February 7th, 2019, and I wanted to do this video, Who Controls the Music Industry, for several reasons. It's really important because, number one, the music industry and the entertainment industry in general has so much influence over our culture. They are cultural influencers, not just influencing culture, but really shaping culture, really defining what cool is. Like the name of this documentary here by Frontline, The Merchants of Cool, all about MTV and the entertainment industry, advertising and preying upon young children. I'll show you a little bit of that real quick. The degeneracy.
They want to be cool. They are impressionable. And they have the cash. They are corporate America's $150 billion dream.
Teenagers have a lot of disposable income. They want to go spend their money. And, you know, we're more than happy to make product that they want to go spend it on.
MTV, Madison Avenue, and the dream makers of Hollywood have targeted our teenagers.
They look at the teen market as part of this massive empire that they're colonizing. Teens are like Africa.
They are the most studied.
Okay, so the way that they shape culture, they define what is cool. They're the merchants of cool, and music especially has such an impact on us. The rhythm, the beats, the hypnotic repetition of the mantras of the lyrics. Here's a documentary here by True Stream Media, The Secret Power Music Holds Over You. It says, according to psychologists reporting new findings, rhythmic sound, quote, not only coordinates the behavior of people in a group, it also coordinates their thinking. The mental processes of individuals in the group become synchronized. So music has incredible influence and power over humans. So the people that control the music industry have incredible power over the culture. And I'm going to be showing a lot of clips. Another reason I'm making this video is The Vigilant One, a great YouTuber, had a series of videos called the rap industry, like who's behind the rap industry, and several other videos that I got some clips from. He had to change the videos to private or unlisted because he didn't want to. He had 2 strikes and didn't want to get censored. So I'm going to be thank you to The Vigilant One for the clips that I'm going to be using. And of course, also want to mention right now the whole counterculture psychedelic movement of that type of movement also was totally connected to the CIA and pushing the drug culture, as documented by my friend Jan Irvin. And another reason that I want to do this video is because the way things are going, it might be illegal to do a video like this in the future, because here at the State Department website, .gov website, where they define anti-Semitism, they say it's making mendacious, dehumanizing, demonizing, or stereotypical allegations about Jays. And you can't say myth about a world Jewish conspiracy or of Jews controlling the media, economy, government, or other societal institutions. So saying that a certain group of ethnic group controls anything is considered hate, even if it's statistically provable, even if all the facts support that that's true. And given all the influence that the media has, the entertainment industry has on our culture, I think it's important to get into who is behind it, and then we can look at the content, the fruits that the industry is bearing, and see if there's any connections and themes and trends going on. So why don't we get started? Here's a little intro from the Vigilant One to get us going.
From it's where you at, and if you can't a freak a leak, better bring your hats, nickel. East Coast, West Coast, down south, represent your coast. Yeah, we run it, y'all don't want it.
Okay, to start us off with one of the moguls, with one of the titans, we have David Geffen. David Geffen is he's in Hollywood. He's a philanthropist, as always for billionaires. He created Asylum Records in 1970, Geffen Records in 1980, involved with DreamWorks Studios, and also, here he is, a picture of him in his youth. He was born in Brooklyn, New York, to Abraham and Batya. Geffen's mother owned a clothing store in Borough Park, and both of his parents were Jewish immigrants who met in British-mandated Palestine and then moved to the United States. Geffen Records he founded in 1980 and recruited Warner Brothers executive Ed Rosenblatt. Here he is as an adult, David Geffen. DreamWorks, he founded DreamWorks with Steven Spielberg and Jeffrey Katzenberg, two big supporters of Hillary Clinton. And his personal life, he came out as gay in 1992, and Out magazine ranked him as one of the 50 most powerful gay men and women in America. And he was actually rapped about by a rapper I'll get into more later.
Quasi-homosexuals is running this rap shit.
Here you go, one more time.
Quasi-homosexuals is running this rap shit.
Okay, and then next we will move on to Clive Davis. He is a Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, Grammy Award winner, president of Columbia Records. He was chairman and CEO of RCA Music Group, which included a bunch of other record companies. And he's the chairman and CEO of J Records. Early life and education, born in Brooklyn, New York, to a Jewish family. He lived and was raised in Crown Heights, Brooklyn. Crown Heights, Brooklyn is known for the location of the worldwide headquarters of the Chabad Lubavitch Hasidic Jewish movement, with the Rebbe Schneerson and We Want Moshiach Now and Jared Kushner and the Third Temple. Clive Davis's spouses was Cohen and Adelberg. Also, Sumner Redstone, the owner of the Merchants of Cool, the man behind Viacom, BET, CBS, MTV, Paramount Pictures. He is Sumner Redstone, otherwise known, or his real name is Murray Rothstein. Sumner Redstone, owner of MTV, doing very well for himself. And then now we're going to get into Mos Def, talking about another rap mogul named Liar Cohen.
Old white men is running this rap shit. Corporate force is running this rap shit. Tall Israeli is running this rap shit. We poke out our asses for a chance to cash in. Cocaine is running this rap shit. Joe Yak and E-pills is running this rap shit. This rap shit. Quasi-homosexuals is running this rap shit. What yo? We're running the world.
So this is from Vigilant One some more, and it says here, the song was made by Mos Def, aka Yasin Bey. His version of the Jay-Z song, quote, The Takeover. In Jay-Z's song, Jay-Z boasts about how he and his record label and artists run the rap industry. Mos Def says in his song that artists don't really run anything, and old white men and some tall Israeli run the rap industry. He also says that use and promotion of drugs and liquor has overtaken the genre. This is Mos Def. Then moving. But who is, so he's talking about a tall Israeli, Mos Def. Who is this guy that he speaks of? It's Mr. Liar Cohen. The song The Rape Over was included in Mos Def's 2004 album The New Danger, but strangely this song was missing from many copies of the album. Seemed like Mos Mos Def upset the real powers that be. And this was Leor Cohen that was behind this. You can see here, this was forward. Missing rap song sparks suspicious musings. Excerpts from the book, quote, It's Bigger Than Hip Hop, The Rise of the Post-Hip Hop Generation, says, what's the track on Mos Def? The R over the name. So it's missing. So it went out to the stores and it was missing. And they actually shipped out. Let's see if it had. Yeah, they shipped out the CD and then pulled them all back. And there's a big scandal about this. So Leor Cohen has been active in the music industry since 1984. He's been a pioneer in the development of hip-hop music and influential in the development of hip-hop music acts, including Beastie Boys, Foxy Brown, LL Cool J, and others. Run DMC, Nas, Jay-Z. There he is. We'll just play through now. Here he is with Run DMC, middle finger he always likes to give. More recently, he's been behind artists like Young Thug, Migos, and Fetty Wap, all which are artists that promote brainless rap music, blurring of the genders, and drugs. Here's some photos of them. The tight jeans. It's funny how they can decide if baggy jeans are cool or if tight jeans are cool. They can change. They define what cool is. Here he is giving the 666 thumbs up MAGA movement symbol, along with some there. This guy's doing it too. Look at his buddy here, also the satanic. Back in 2010, Leor famously addressed the Lupe Fiasco fans when they were protesting against Atlantic Records, who were not releasing Lupe's album, quote, Lasers. The label wanted Lupe Fiasco to make music that was negative and detrimental to society, but Lupe wouldn't oblige. So Mos Def and Lupe try to rap about good things. It's not allowed. It has to be degenerate. It has to be culture destroying.
Don't you want it real good?
Yeah, but he been gave it to you like 2 years ago. No.
Leor downplays the actual power and significance he has in the rap world. Check out this interview.
Yo, who's this?
Hold up. This is the Drink Champs, the #1 podcast in the business. And right now we're talking to, hands down, the most important man, in my opinion, in the whole music game. He's a mogul. He's been doing this. He personally signed me and taught me how to be a man with money. Right now, we got Leor Cohen on the line. Let's make some noise! Yo, Leor, I gotta big you up off top, man.
Well, I want to address the comment you made about mogul. I don't consider myself a mogul. Myself a servant. I prefer if you could replace mogul with humble servant.
Humble servant. Doesn't want to be called a mogul. He wants to be called a humble servant. Notice that Leor doesn't call what he does a job and takes some type of offense to Noor calling him a mogul because he would like to keep the spotlight off of himself. Leor prefers to be called a servant, but what agenda and purpose does he serve? Well, here's a photo. We all know what that hand sign is supposed to mean, right? Satanic? Believe so. Rock on, satanic. Devil ears. And of course, the MAGA OK sign. Interesting. Fetty Wap, another artist that Leor Cohen helped mold, doing the one eye pose. They got the one eye Illuminati symbolism all over MTV and Nickelodeon. Masonic Illuminati symbolism. Since the early 1980s, Leor has maintained his influence and power to this present day. There he's with Will Smith. Run DMC, Jay-Z, and Ludacris. Oh, maybe that's not Jay-Z. Lior loves doing the 666 hand sign. This is from the Vigilant One. Always doing it. That or the thumbs up or the devil. Everyone, look, he's even got all his artists, his signed artists doing it. Murder Inc. Records was a very successful label during the early 2000s. The name was paying homage to the Jewish mob of the 1930s and 1940s called Murder Incorporated. There they are. Some of the biggest gangsters weren't Italians, guys. The Hollywood made it seem that way, but that's not who was really running things. Here they are again: Goldstein, Bugsy Siegel, Strauss. Here we are. In 2014, Dame Dash became very vocal about his issues with Lior Cohen. He blamed Lior, should I call it Lior or Liar? Liar for the break of the Rockefeller records, amongst many other things. It's almost a cruel joke, right, of Jewish parents naming their kid Liar, a name that sounds like Liar Cohen. Just a coincidence, I'm sure, right, guys?
My beef was with Lior because I think he's a fake CEO and I think he's fronting on my culture, but he can't front on anybody else. And I'm calling him out publicly, and I want him to stop trying to rape my culture, go make some money with some other people. They have people that their job is to create beef.
Rape his culture. He says he's raping his culture and creating beef, creating degeneracy, gang culture, promoting violence and crime.
So that they can monetize it, pause. But they don't let their culture feel it. But they make money from it, and they can't make any money or get any respect in their culture. That's why they're in our culture. It is what it is. It's a perfect example of what they always do to us. They always try to, offer some paper bag of money or whatever it is, whatever selfish agenda, which is the test, and then have us divide so they can benefit and take the fight off of them and put the focus on them. Never had a beef with Jay. Always with Lior and his whole crew. He's the one that ruined Rockefeller. I think it's fair to continuously make money off our culture, not make money off your own culture, not use any of your money to help our culture, but use the money you make from us to help your own culture, and then not to give the respect to the people that are the DNA of. Call Kevin Lowndes.
I don't think I've ever seen a Lior Cohen interview.
Exactly. Of course you don't see. Of course you don't see the puppet master. I don't like who he empowers and the way he empowers them. I didn't like when he hired Todd Moskowitz to run Asylum. I didn't think.
Hired Todd Moskowitz to run Asylum, and why did he do it?
Todd, as a lawyer, knew anything about music. It just seemed like complete nepotism, and he was using other people's money.
Nepotism.
He got a job because of nepotism. Ask them why they got their jobs. That's what I want to see. How did Joey get the job president of Urban, and what does that mean? I need to see credentials, and I have to worry about being manipulated by somebody that's smiling, pretending that he's with you, but he's robbing you. Because when they rob you, they don't come as an enemy, they come as a friend. But I've been to these Jewish events, and I have nothing against Jewish, where I've seen him make Jay-Z gift speeches. And I've been like, well, I don't understand why that doesn't happen in my culture. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'll tell you right now, stay clear of Lior, he will rob you. He will ruin you for the money. And when you're with him, you look like a slave, because that's how he looks at you. Trust me on that.
Dame Dash keeps mentioning culture again and again when he talks about his issue with Lior Cohen, but what is Lior's culture? Israeli news outlets proudly boast about their representative in the music industry, but would cry anti-Semitism if you were to say that the music industry was full of Jewish people. Yeah, they're allowed to brag about it. They're allowed to say that we're just jealous about it, but it's not true, and it's a conspiracy, and it's anti-Semitic for us to say it. Literally defined by law. They could brag about it, but it's anti-Semitism if we say, hey, the whole music industry, Hollywood, it's all controlled by a certain group of people. It's going to be illegal to say that if we don't put an end to this censorship and Orwellian laws coming through, draconian laws. Lior Cohen doesn't like to mention his Jewish Israeli background much in public, but he does.
All right, welcome back. This is Hanukkah Radio, and we have a special guest calling in today, a luminary in our business and a proud Jew, Lior Cohen, ladies and gentlemen.
Clap it up, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you.
Lior,
thank you. I'm so thrilled and honored to be asked to do your radio station, especially on the last day of Hanukkah. L'chaim, shalom.
We
What's
are honored
happening
to
and
have
how
you.
could I help you?
Well, Lior, this one of the things we do here is we don't necessarily get too religious and talk about Hanukkah and what it stands for, although, we have gotten into that in the past, but it's more of a celebration of, Judaism and hip-hop, since we are a hip-hop station, and that's what we do, and your roots are definitely in hip-hop.
Jewish people have always been involved in urban cultural arts, all the way back to the early beginnings of jazz music. It's just something that's always happened.
Right.
It's a blessing. It's a blessing that I was lucky enough to be part of this industry, and it was a blessing that people treated me inside and out with so much respect.
You hear that? So they're allowed to say that how is a Jewish person always behind the artist in the industry, always behind the jazz artist? He says it's a blessing and it just happens to always happen. And remember, though, it's anti-Semitic to say that they control it. They're allowed to say it and brag about it, but we can't.
Jewish people have always been involved in urban cultural arts, all the way back to the early beginnings of jazz music. It's just something that's always happened.
Right.
It's a blessing.
Just a blessing that's always happened. Interesting take. Okay, another mogul that we're going to move on to now. This is Rick Rubin, Mr. Rick Rubin. In the book Jewish American Popular Culture, it has him here saying, Frederick J. Rick Rubin is one of the most influential music producers of the last 3 decades. He was born in Long Island, New York. His grandparents kept a kosher home. His parents are conservative Jews who observe many of the Jewish holidays. Rubin went to Temple Israel in Long Beach, New York, and had his bar mitzvah at Singer's Hotel in Spring Valley. In 2007, Rubin was named one of Time Magazine's 100 most influential people. Rubin continues producing music and working with diverse artists ranging from Justin Timberlake, the Dixie Chicks, and System of a Down to U2, Jay-Z, Little John, also in rock and roll. In 1988, he split with Simmons and moved to Los Angeles, where he formed the Def American label. He continued working with both hip-hop and metal artists, including the Red Hot Chili Peppers, Blood Sugar Sex Magic. Interesting, occult sex magic. Before dropping Def from the label and blah, blah, blah. So here he is. Frederick J. Rubin, a.k.a. Rick Rubin, is a record producer of Def Jam and a record label surrounded with accusations of occult rituals taking place and a non-straight occult, also Kabbalah, and he had a weird occultic spell book. There he is with Jay-Z.
Rick Rubin, I say him, I dance interior. He was a member of the Beastie Boys. He was a DJ Double R. I met him at Dance Interior because Jazzy J brought him to me. Jazzy J was on the record, It's Yours, Tila Rock. It was the best record on the radio. We talked in Dance Interior and he played me his drum machine. He had so many beats. We started a record label. Rick owned and created the label Def Jam, that was his. Rick owned and created the label Def Jam, that was his.
So another Jew behind Def Jam, behind hip-hop.
You know, all these records I used to listen to?
Jay-Z.
These guys are the creators of it, the architects of what we do right now. I'm just fortunate, man. You want to take this? Yeah.
And there's Jay-Z with Leor Cohen as well. Now we're moving on to Public Enemy. Back in the late 80s, Public Enemy, who spoke out against Israel's oppression against Palestinians, made them a target to be destroyed in the media. Public Enemy learned the hard way. And I just wanted to say real quick that while I was in Palestine, I met with the most famous founder of rap there. He was the most famous rapper in Palestine. He's the founder of Rap in Palestine, essentially. Here he is. He is from Lod, and I'm going to be doing a whole video about him and the interview that I shot with him and his background and some of the stuff he was talking about. So that'll be coming up soon for another video, though. So, speaking up about the Palestinians, made them a target to be destroyed in the media. Public enemy learnt the hard way.
The Washington Times sent journalist David Mills to interview Professor Griff. A number of topics were discussed, but when the article was published, all the attention focused on one sentence. Griff reportedly told Mills, "Jews are responsible for the majority of wickedness that goes on across the globe." With the media scrutinizing their every move, it was a PR disaster. The resulting fallout threatened to end Public Enemy's career. It wasn't the first time Griff had brought up contentious issues in the press. The band often discussed ideas about how to regain a consciousness for African Americans, and this often spilled over into the black community's relationship with other ethnic groups. But this quote was indefensible. Did he really say those words, or were they taken out of context?
The way it was kind of put out there was definitely not my sentiment. Never had this hatred for Jewish people. Never had this hatred for white people like they say. I just finished reading The Secret Relationship Between Blacks and Jews, which was given to me by somebody in Public Enemy. This conversation was going on all the time about the control and who owns these companies and, you know, why all this group of people always doing this and controlling that. And
oh, this is starting to sound a little anti-Semitic. You can't talk about who controls things, even though whoever controls the music and entertainment industry has incredible power over the public, over society. Can't talk about who's behind it, their motives, their biases. It's hateful to even question who runs things.
Having this kind of influence, and that talk went on all the time, every day.
One more time, this is what we need more of. This type of talk.
I just finished reading The Secret Relationship Between Blacks and Jews, which was given to me by somebody in Public Enemy. This conversation was going on all the time about the control and who owns these companies and, you know, why all this group of people always doing this and controlling that and having this kind of influence. And that talk went on all the time, every day. And that bit of information that I put in that particular interview with David Mills was given to me by somebody in the group. But why am I taking the heat for it?
Whether Griff's words were reported correctly or not, the resulting media storm required swift action from the band's leader, Chuck D.
I remember being around at that time, you know, and how tough that decision was for Chuck. It was difficult. I mean, think about it. They were the biggest rap group and one of the biggest pop groups in the world at that time.
They had to kick him out.
And you're told you got to get rid of one of your best friends out of the band because of his anti-Semitism.
Can't speak out about the chosen ones.
It was a total mess. It was a mess with me not just getting into it.
So here's some of Chuck D's tweets. He says, these Clives, that's I showed him earlier, Clive Davis, Jimmy's, Leor's, look at black people as lesser than and don't consider themselves family. Never create your own inner peace. That's what Chuck D from Public Enemy is saying.
And handling it after it was said and done. And I just let it go. I said, you know what? Boys will be boys, and let's, you know, men will be men. Let's just, you know, it'll wash away. Did not wash away.
Def Jam's publicist Bill Adler refused to work with the group, and criticism from the world's media continued to build. Public Enemy's mission to change the consciousness of a generation was about to be wrecked by one interview. Chuck had to act to save his group. He released a statement, apologized, and sacked Griff.
Did I get thrown under the bus by organizations, by people in the group? Yeah, I did. Did it have to happen that way? No.
Crazy, right? Just one interview where you talk about who is controlling your industry. We're going to go over some more of the names here in a second, and he gets kicked out. Major problem. The whole world, all the media criticizes and attacks until he's fired. You know, they're all for boycotting bands or companies or anything that speak out against them. But then when the world wants to support BDS and support what's happening in Gaza and Palestine, our government makes it illegal to boycott them. When our country was founded on boycotts, the Boston Tea Party. Chuck D reveals the true reason why so much pressure
25 years ago,
was applied on Public Enemy.
25 years ago, as Do the Right Thing came out, in July 1989, we was also accused of being anti-Semitic based on a article that just went and hit a bad road in left field, and it was in this city, New York, and it was a motherfucker for real. I think the arguments were based on, well, let me tell you, the whole thing really happened, and it started out by the audacity of black men talking about the conflict, which is relevant to this moment.
The Palestinian
Israel and Palestine.
Right.
We were having a detailed discussion on how the one-sidedness of Palestine and Israel was taking place, and it was almost like,
who the fuck are you talking about?
Black.
Whenever somebody gets in so much trouble for criticizing the power of Israel or Jewish influences, they are always, they're called anti-Semitic and they're shut down and they're censored. What does that do to dispel the rumors and people's beliefs that that's who's in control? You know, the quote, you can't criticize, whoever you can't criticize is who rules over you.
Black dudes talking to what the, but they had to deal with that, and they was getting these intellectual discourses coming back at. We ain't no fucking kids. We ain't stupid. We ain't naive. This shit's going on. And we need to address this. So Griff started to do an interview with David Mills, a black guy, and they're talking about, he brings up the issue of what's going on based on the Israel-Palestine thing, and they start talking about these areas of conflict, but also what had happened in the music business and how black people are still like kind of ass down, and how also other people and also Jewish people happen to be running the music business. And what's up with the equitable shake here and the emergence of even hip hop? Where's the equality here? Well, David Mills they got into some good discussion that took a wrong path, especially when David Mills' girlfriend, who was white and Jewish, came into the room, and she started like, and it just went into her.
How the fuck is that an interview when she's not even, that's crazy.
Because that was his girlfriend. Yeah. And then that, so when I came back to the hotel, I saw Griff come out of the elevator like, I got into it with this dude. I don't know if you can I said, man, I'm tired. You go to bed. It wasn't until Spike Lee started getting some pressure. Spike Lee said, yo, man, they're going to pull this movie. Or they could have been calling this bluff. All this stuff about Public Enemy.
You're talking about Do the Right Thing.
You Do the Right Thing, which was out in July 1989 to this day. It's like, yo, man, I'm getting a lot of pressure from these people at Universal about Public Enemy. And
so Spike Lee ended up caving in with his latest movie he just did. And now here's Lupe. Oh, but he did support Michael Jackson. He went and did the video in Brazil with Michael Jackson that I'm going to show here a little bit later. Now here's Lupe Fiasco, Nerd. His song Nerd. Remember, he had some beef with Leor Cohen.
Voice of the sentient voice against the arms of the government. Artists getting robbed for they publishing by dirty Jewish execs who think that it's arms from the covenant. I retire when I'm tired.
As soon as this song was uploaded onto SoundCloud, Lupe was accused of being anti-Semitic, and this song was removed from the site, of course.
Lupe responded by defending his choice of words before eventually saying that he was going to call it quits due to the backlash regarding his choice of words. He tweeted, "I get the hint, God. You Lupe fans, it's been fun, and I hope you've had fun. I'm officially not releasing any more music. Album's canceled. Getting beat up for telling the truth is not how I plan on spending the rest of my life." On Wednesday, Lupe returned to Twitter and once again caused a stir when he decided to call out a couple of record executives for wronging him early on in his career. He started things off by accusing former Warner Music Group CEO Leor Cohen of refusing to honor one of the first contracts he signed when he agreed to become a part of Atlantic Records prior to the release of his debut album, Food and Liquor. Leor Cohen told me he may not honor the terms of an existing contract unless I signed a contract which changed the terms of the existing one. Fiasco then continued by accusing Atlantic Records CEO Craig Kallman of negotiating a deal that stripped him of his publishing rights to his hit song Airplanes, a song that ultimately ended up becoming a hit for rapper B.O.B. Wow. He wrote, "Craig Kallman once negotiated a deal in secret which said I agreed to give away 85% of my publishing rights to the song Airplanes to his producers." He also accused Kallman of trying to convince him to sign an unfavorable 360 deal. Craig Kallman brought me my 360 deal while I was half naked recovering from pneumonia in a hotel room in LA. It was surreal. And Lupe didn't stop there. He fielded questions from fans about his early experiences with Atlantic and explained why he wasn't able able to get out of his contract. He blamed it on the Jewish lawyer he hired and accused him of trying to steal money from him. The Jewish lawyer I hired to get me off Atlantic was more interested in taking 5% of everything I did. He sent a bill for $100,000, which represented 5% of the concerts I did while I had him on retainer. Concerts which he never handled contracts for. He said, "What are you gonna do? Sue me? I'm a lawyer, I'll win." He then felt so guilty he offered me 10% of my own money back. Lupe ended his Twitter spree by circling back to the controversy that his comments on NERD caused and defended them for a final time. He tweeted, "I don't tolerate real anti-Semitism, but I will not stand by as injustices based on a doctrine of chosen and divine rights are perpetuated." As of this report, neither Cohen or Kalman have responded to the accusations leveled by Lupe, and his Twitter account has been locked and made private. It's still yet to be seen if he'll stick with his plan to quit music once.
So, Mos Def and Lupe Fiasco. So rap artists are encouraged to rap about killing each other, selling drugs, taking drugs, objectifying women, etc., but cannot expose their puppet masters or they will be punished for it. Ain't that the truth? Isn't that definitely is the case time and time again? Now we're going to move on to this is Eazy-E and the NWO. See who's behind that whole huge gangsta rap group.
Webb says Freeway Ricky helped trigger an epidemic of human misery.
CIA smuggling in all the CIA, giving it with Barry Seal to Freeway Ricky Ross.
In prison, most of us. Rick Ross is now serving a life sentence for cocaine distribution.
The women are still strung on the drugs, kids without fathers, without mothers.
And honestly, how much responsibility do you have for that?
A lot. A lot of it was my fault. I played the game.
In the mid-1980s, the hip-hop group NWA formed with songs glamorizing drug dealing, pimping, and violence.
The ratio of gangbangers to civilians was minuscule in the early 70s and early 80s. Late 70s, early 80s, okay? Right after NWA, now I've been in the club business all this time, and I stopped making records. Went back to my second career, which is nightclub owner. What happened was NWA and rap, or gangster rap made gangster lifestyle cool. So the ratio started to change. Everybody was a gangbanger. It used to be 5% gangbanger. Everybody became a gangbanger. So now you got 95% gangsters, or 90% gangsters, and 10% civilians. And when that happened, everything went crazy because now theaters, clubs, parking lots, the park, everything is a war zone.
NWA gets signed by a music manager, Jerry Heller, who was later accused of cheating the members of NWA out of royalty, money, etc.
I believe in the Constitution. I believe in the First Amendment. And there is nothing that Ruthless or any other company like us does that we shouldn't be doing.
So this man, Jerry Heller, it was behind NWA, and just like this guy explained a second ago, there used to be very small percentage of gangbangers, and then it just skyrocketed up because the merchants of cool define what is cool, and they shape culture. So we have to look at who is behind all of these things is why it's so important. And obviously this is something that they are trying to suppress. For good reason they're trying to suppress it.
Believe in the Constitution.
We already saw that part.
Ruthless Records was one of the first labels devoted to gangster rap and was the home of NWA, whose success was made possible by the label's independence.
When I heard Boys in the Hood, I just felt it was the most important music that I had heard in many, many years, since the beginning of rock and roll.
Jerry Heller had spent his career representing pop groups like Styx and Journey, but he was fascinated by NWA's foul-mouthed street sensibility. Convinced he had found a diamond in the rough, Heller says he left his other clients and helped Eazy-E start up a label they called Ruthless Records.
Nobody that I took the records to for the first 9 or 10 months, ever thought that this would get any airplay.
Ultimately, Heller persuaded Priority Records to distribute NWA's first LP, Straight Outta Compton.
After NWA popularized gangsta rap, many rap artists who had different sound or more positive message were shunned by the record labels. So they all the labels at the same time moved on to gangsta rap, where they're glamorizing violence and glamorizing crime and drug use and objectifying women and just pushing everything to really make society get degenerative music. And now here is Bone Thugs. Oops. Eazy-E mysteriously died of AIDS in 1995. Eazy-E worked with Jerry Heller, running their record company, Ruthless Records. And Bone Thugs and Harmony, who were artists signed by Eazy-E, have always speculated that Jerry Heller had something to do with the passing of Eazy-E.
And was Jerry Heller involved at that point also?
Yes. He was,
Okay,
but what a lot of people don't know is like we came in a transition point of Ruthless Records because Eazy-E had fired Jerry Heller, you know, and he started bringing all new people in, you know, and this is right before he got sick and passed away. He had fired Jerry Heller and he brought all new people in to run his company because I guess he found out it was some underhanded, shady business going on up under his nose that he didn't know about. We were even there. The same secretary that had Eazy call us back, we went to the office one day to pick up some money, and you know, she was like, y'all wait right here because Jerry is not so happy in the office right now, you know, and she was like, y'all just wait right here because you know Eazy just fired him.
Right.
And we was like, damn. So yeah, it was going down. It was
Allegedly died of AIDS.
Well, no, he did. I think
he
that's
died of AIDS.
Yeah, it's confirmed.
Allegedly.
You think it was something else?
This might be alleged.
Yeah.
The way he picked the shit up, but I ain't getting into that right now, Jack.
Oh.
I got my own theories, you know what I mean?
Me too.
But
What? I've never heard these theories before. I thought it was just
I mean, it was crazy though because we was hearing like these
happened kind of fast. Didn't it?
I was kind of thinking like, who the fuck doctors did he go to? I think it was Jerry Heller's doctors that he went to, and he had just got fired. So I'm like, I don't know, but this don't even look, you know.
Conspiracy.
You know
And
what
then
I mean?
it's like you know, like you could. You know, we all seen people with full-blown AIDS, and when they're about to die, you know, they look like they have it and they're about to die. Now, you can have HIV and you can still look healthy, you know what I'm saying? But,
and you don't even know you have it.
Right. Dude had full-blown AIDS, and he looked like he
regular.
He was like, still had his weight, still cocky, still looking like a regular dude, and it just came about all of a sudden, you know what I'm saying?
I mean, he was wrestling with Big Wish, you know what I'm saying? Like, going at it with Big Wish. So the dude was strong, cocky, man, really built like a little tank, you know what I mean? So you know, it's just theories, you know.
Did you read Jerry
no
Heller's biography that he wrote, or autobiography?
In one of Eazy-E's last messages, he sends out a cryptic message warning young black Americans about a conspiracy to incarcerate as many people as possible. All a game, die like a star.
Die like a star. Living real hard, playing the game, die like a star. The game is designed for them to win. You think I'm lying? Visit the pen. They already got a number reserved for your ass. Don't be a fool and join their class. They want you to enroll in their institution so they can pimp you with their new form of prostitution.
The subject quickly changed as the speaker went.
So now this is another video from the Vigilant One that he did. It's all about there's a conspiracy. Some anonymous person came forward and talked about a conspiracy of the record labels to push gangster rap so that they could fill the prisons, the for-profit prisons, and they can make a lot of money in a huge scheme.
The subject quickly changed as the speaker went on to tell us the respective companies we represented had invested in a very profitable industry that would become even more rewarding with our active involvement. He explained that the companies we worked for had invested millions into the building of privately owned prisons and that our positions of influence in the music industry would actually impact the profitability of these investments. I remember many of us in the group immediately looked at each other in confusion. At the time, I did not know what a private prison was, but I wasn't the only one. Sure enough, someone asked what these prisons were and what any of this had to do with us. We were told that the prisons were built by privately owned companies who received funding from the government based on the number of inmates. The more inmates, the more money the government would pay these prisons. It was made clear to us that since these prisons are privately owned, as they are publicly traded, we'd be able to buy shares. Most of us were taken back by this. Again, a couple people asked what this had to do with us. At this point, my industry colleague who had first opened the meeting took the floor again and answered our questions. He told us that since our employers had become silent investors in this prison business, it was now their interest to make sure these prisons remained filled. Our job was to help make this happen by marketing music which promotes criminal behavior, rap music being of choice. He assured us that this would be a great situation for us because rap music was becoming an increasingly profitable market for our companies, and as employees, we'd be able to buy personal stocks in these prisons. Immediate silence came over the room. You could have heard a pin drop. I remember looking around to make sure that I wasn't dreaming and saw half the people with dropped jaws.
And then, of course, the 90s came in, and there was too much consciousness going on in hip-hop at that time for the powers that be. So here comes gangster rap. All right, take off the medallions, you know what I mean? Stop all that peace and unity, and let's do some hoes and cocaine and gangbang. At a time, if you were a conscious rapper, you couldn't even get a record deal anymore because hip-hop wasn't going that way no more. And that's directly from that gangster rap era, that gangster rap mentality, and the people who were in charge of hip-hop at that time. They totally deaded the cultural side of hip-hop. I mean, everything that, De La Soul, done. Tribe Called Quest, done. I mean, all that, done. I mean, yeah, it's still stuck around, it permeated, but they changed the whole landscape of the entire music. NWA, I thought they were great for what they were doing, but I thought there was a definite detriment to our people, the message they were giving out, you know what I mean? The music was...
NAA was a detriment to their people, and who was behind NWA? Jerry Heller, Leor Cohen's.
Music was groundbreaking and extraordinary, amazing, you know what I mean? But I wasn't, and I was out there at the time. I know them, I'm familiar with them. We had a club out in LA, Zulu Nation had a club, West Coast, Eazy-E's to come in, Ice Cube, all them cats used to be around. And then we all cool, it's all peace and love. But I'm saying, it's not even the artists so much, it's the music industry itself that kind of drove that ship. And they just recruited people to do what they needed to do. It was a different conversation than I'ma shoot you in your face. It was a different conversation than I got 5 bad kilos of this and that, any nigga, I'm shooting your kneecaps off, I'm shooting your daughter in the calf muscle and shit like that. It wasn't that kind of conversation. Right. It was like, hey, I'm good too, I'm strapped too. Yeah. You know what I mean? You got yours, I got mine too. Ain't nobody running over nobody here. Right. That was his conversation. But later on it became, yo, I'm gonna shoot this nigga and kill police and all that. It wasn't that extreme.
So that bothered you?
Okay, yeah, that bothered me, definitely. I knew it wasn't good for hip hop. You know what I mean? It might be good for rap music. You know, crack was out back then and they were trying to sell more crack. So they used the music industry to help do that too and to permeate that throughout our society and our culture.
In a 2013 interview, the rapper Scarface gives his opinion about the rap industry and the state of hip-hop.
I feel like we losing it. You know what I'm saying? I feel like the people that are in control of what hip-hop does is so fucking white and so fucking Jewish until they don't give a fuck about what the culture and the craft and what it really is about. I don't know if the motherfucker is trying to really. Let me say this shit right, because I want this to be as offensive as I can fucking make it for these old ass punks that's running these record labels. You know, that's in the powerful positions to dictate what the black community hears and listens to.
What it must feel like that now, you being Jewish, that, you know, once again, like, Jewish guys run rap with Drake being on top right now, you come in. What does that feel like? You know, the Jewish guy is leading the rap game. First it was the business mechanics of it all.
Right.
Now it's actually the creativity too. Now
I'm certainly not mad at it.
Yeah.
More power to the Jews. Like I enjoy
even more power.
I enjoy success. Like,
you know what I mean? I fucking hate that shit. Like, that shit pisses me off. Like, there's no fucking way that you can tell me that it's not a conspiracy against the blacks in hip hop, because you put out fucking records that make us look stupid. You make us look dumb. You brainwash a generation. You brainwash a generation of hip hop with this fucking crud. And then when these other rappers come out, splitting it down the middle, these other rappers cheeks sound like, wow, y'all look great. Y'all look stupid. Y'all look great. Y'all look stupid. Y'all look great. And then, you know, motherfuckers start going over here, and then pretty soon.
Might as well show Eminem. That's who I used to listen to back when I was a freshman in high school. It's crazy. As a young child, watching MTV, watching the Spring Break, the degeneracy, the real world, all of the fighting and the drama and the vanity, the consumerism, the terrible stuff, the music, the ideas that they inject into young children's heads. The mantra, the repetitiveness of the songs and the hooks and the repetition, the beats, the melodies, the rhythm, it all has such a hypnotic, brainwashing effect, and it has a huge effect on our culture and society, the people that are behind all this music. And then we'll move along here to... Many wonder why black artists, music execs don't go fully independent and form their own distribution companies. Some have tried to form their own unions and have paid the price for having the nerve to go against the power structure.
You understand what I'm saying? Yes, sir. We have to look at Damon Dash. We have to look at Suge Knight. We have to look at Irv Gotti. And we have to look at Jay Prince. These four gentlemen that got together and was going to put up $30 million a piece to get and create their own distribution company to distribute black music. These people got together and said, we'll never let it happen. It'll happen over our dead bodies. All in 1 week, I'm telling you the short version of the story. All in 1 week, they raided the offices of these four brothers. I'm going to say them again. Damon Dash, Suge Knight, Irv Gotti, and Jay Prince out of Texas. The FBI raided their offices and confiscated their records and started piecing together cases against these brothers. Suge Knight, you already know his story. Yeah. You understand? Went through some court cases, ends up having a white Jewish woman, the owner now of everything that Death Row had put out. And I think she bought it for $22 million. No, $25 million. Ain't that something? 25. She owns the entire catalog. I'm gonna have to get this woman's name so I can put it in my records. Irv Gotti, him and his brother was brought up on charges, remember?
Oh, yeah.
Several years ago. And his thing was publicized because they raided his offices and tried to connect him to some mob ties and some drug dealing and that kind of thing.
While Irv Gotti was celebrating beating his case, it appears that someone from his legal team is holding a book. The book is called the Zohar, which is the foundational work in the literature of Jewish mystical thought known as the Kabbalah. They are letting you know who is in charge. See it? Zohar. Who's holding that up in the back? There it is again, the Zohar. Years later, Irv Gotti
They sold us
explains.
out, and then they have a.
Years later, Irv Gotti explains the plan he, Suge Knight, and others wanted to implement. This is what they shut down. It wasn't just a record label, a black-owned record label, in the cartel of non-black people behind the music industry, the hip-hop industry. And this was the plan they wanted to do. Oops.
They sold us out, and then they have a new artist. Are you kidding me? It's a no-brainer.
Okay, now
It's
see
billing.
that right there
It's a
makes sense
no-brainer.
to me.
Can I tell
Before
you?
Before you said that,
this
I
shit
wasn't
was
getting it,
deep
but
because
that,
at the time Doug Morris was the chief.
Okay,
he was the boss of Universal,
Mm-hmm.
the boss of bosses. Doug Morris. He's flying Irv and myself out every other week to L.A. Leo didn't treat us the right way.
Okay.
You know, and that was our guy. So they had Jimmy. We had Leo.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Nah, Leo had a big poster with 50 Cent in his office.
Wow.
That was the day. Listen to me.
Wait.
This is something no one understands. This is real. You're getting stuff that we never spoke about.
We getting facts right here.
Me and
people.
Irv walk in his office. We have a meeting. So on his wall, it's got to be bigger than this. He has a picture of him and 50. He's hugging 50. And he's giving the finger.
Wow.
And he tells us to turn around and look.
Oh, no, he didn't point the picture out. Like you could already see it.
He said, did you see that? He said, did you see my picture?
So that was just about Leor Cohen screwing over Irv Gotti. But the plan that they all had was that they were going to have a union, a record label and a union for artists, which, you know, the owners of the record labels definitely didn't want any unionization going on. So they locked out all of them up. At least that's the theory. So moving on to another mogul, and we're almost wrapped up here. We have Doug Morris. He's the current chairman of Sony Music Entertainment. He previously served as the chairman and CEO of the Universal Music Group, Sony Music Entertainment from 2011 to 2017. Down here, life and career, born to Jewish parents, Doug Morris. Also, we have Tommy Mottola. He headed Sony Music Entertainment, the parent of the Columbia label for nearly 15 years, formerly married to Mariah Carey, and he was the one that had the beef with Michael Jackson. His personal life, he converted to Judaism to marry his first wife, Lisa Clark. And here's Michael Jackson talking about Mottola.
And Tommy Mottola is a devil.
And the now unreleased recordings of Michael Jackson. The King of Pop is said to have left behind a mountain of material.
So Michael Jackson also said that he was going to do everything he could to get Tommy Mottola terminated and called him the devil. And then this is what happened after Michael Jackson was dead.
And the now unreleased recordings of Michael Jackson. The King of Pop is said to have left behind a mountain of material. Music executive Tommy Mottola, who worked closely with Jackson at Sony Records for 15 years, considers himself the gatekeeper of Jackson's catalog. Tommy, good morning. It's good to see you.
Good morning, man.
The gatekeeper. Did you see that smile? The gatekeeper smile? There it is. Tommy Mottola, the gatekeeper of Michael Jackson's music. They bought out his whole multi-billion-dollar valued catalog of music with the Beatles and everything for $750 million. And here was Michael Jackson and what he had to say about his experience with the record industry and the music industry.
He was in Brazil to shoot the music video for his song, They Don't Care About Us. Last year, he angered Jewish groups when he sang these words.
Do me, sue me, everybody do me, kick me, kite me, don't you black or white me.
Michael then gave in to pressure and changed the song. But in Brazil, the controversial lyrics were back, and he sang it this way. We showed footage of the video shoot to Rabbi Marvin Heyer, an activist for Jewish causes, who was outraged because last June, Jackson sent him a letter of apology for singing those lyrics.
I'm shocked. Jew me, sue me, kick me, kike me. Those are the words that he told us that he would never use again.
But when I say
So Michael doubled down after this. He doubled down because this is what his experience was and his truth was.
But when I say Jew me, sue me, everybody do me, kick me, kike me, don't you black or white me, I'm talking about myself as the victim.
I fucking don't like bleaching. I was so tired of it. They start out the most popular person in the world, make a lot of money, big house, cars, and everything, end up with penniless. See, this conspiracy, the Jews do do it on purpose.
So he says they do it on purpose. And Michael Jackson, some of the people he may have been referring to, this is Howard Bloom, his publicist, and Motown Records, one of his first labels, Rob Cohen, the executive VP, coincidence, possibly. And then we have Ron Alexenberg, was the senior VP and general manager of Epic Records, another label that Michael Jackson was with. And then Michael Jackson also had, after he died, he had a list, an enemies list. And on this list was Rabbi Shmuley and Uri Geller. And these men, the enemies list, Uri Geller is the illusionist. He was Michael Jackson's manager. And then Rabbi Shmuley was his spiritual advisor. And Weisner asked Michael, "What are you doing?" And he said, "These people are after me and they want to destroy my life." And then he blamed the whole Martin Bashir documentary on these two guys. Uri Geller is a Hebrew, an Israeli illusionist, magician, television personality, and self-proclaimed psychic. He's the guy that used to do the spoon bending and was on TV. Spoon bending and telepathy. And he fought in the 1967 war, Israel, over in Israel and Palestine. Michael Jackson's spiritual advisor was Chabad Lubavitch Rabbi Shmuley Botek, who has connections with Sheldon Adelson and the Rebbe Schneerson. He wrote a bunch of books, Newsweek's magazine's 50 most influential rabbis a few years in a row. This guy was really close to Jackson. They used to have, they had a warm relationship, and they had a charity for children together. And Michael Jackson used to go over to his house for Shabbat dinners, and even met Ariel Sharon, the Israeli prime minister, over there. Uri Geller introduced Rabbi Botek to Michael Jackson, and this rabbi continued to work with Michael Jackson on his children, charities, and issues despite the accusations of the sex abuse. Rabbi Botek here, Jerusalem Post, his article, he had to apologize for meeting with the Pope, but he says here, the Rebbe's purpose, that's Rebbe Schneerson, Chabad Lubavitch, where Kushner's a member, the purpose was to bring Moshiach, that's their Messiah that's going to rule the world. All the Gentiles must bow the knee and worship him and not say anything bad about it, or harsh punishments will come forth. The Messiah, which of necessity involves the Jews becoming a light into the nations, and he was using Michael Jackson as his prophet to help this end times prophecy, Chabad Lubavitch Third Temple stuff come true. Here's Michael Jackson's sister with Ellen.
I just was a huge fan. I thought he was, and I loved the music that he wrote, which was all about healing the world.
Yes,
and
absolutely.
The music was all about healing the world. JTA, number 10 about Michael Jackson, but despite everything, quote, heal the world should still generate a good amount of goosebumps because it's basically a more tear-jerking version of Tikkun Olam. Tikkun Olam is Chabad.org. Who came up with Tikkun Olam? It's fix the world. It means to fix the world. It means repairing the world, which is what we're here to do. So the rabbi was having Michael Jackson help with that. Michael Jackson was completely tied in with these people, which is understandable why he spoke out against him so much from his own personal experience. He was used and brought to the Simon Wiesenthal Center for the Vivid exhibition 2-hour tour about the final solution. When Michael left, he was crying for weeks afterwards. So they were using him, looks like Larry Silverstein, I'm not sure if it is there, but to visit member of the tribe the Friday before it opened. And so they were using him to push this Simon Wiesenthal Center, named for the Nazi hunters, Simon Wiesenthal. And Michael Jackson also was wearing a Kabbalah bracelet at his trial, and that Elizabeth Taylor introduced him to the studies of the Zohar, like we saw in Irv Gotti's trial. So sad what happened to little Michael, how the music industry robbed him of his childhood. His father abused him. He saw things that he shouldn't have seen at such a young age. He didn't have his childhood. He had Arrested Development. The music industry exploited him, chewed him up, and spit him out and turned him into, probably a pedophile monster. And this isn't the first time that this happened. There's also, this is from Vigilant One again. Frankie Lyman was a childhood star in the 1950s, and he was used up like Michael Jackson, similar to by the people in the music industry. He died broke when he was 25 from a heroin overdose. Sounds familiar, huh? There he is, Frankie Lyman, 1958. He was making a bunch of money. Even though he was only a teenager, he was surrounded by women much older than himself, and would often tell people that the woman was his mom or sister to avoid scandals. There he is. Not a bad catch there. At 15, he was introduced to heroin, so they got him on drugs. And he made get him on drugs, have him make bad decisions, take advantage of them. The managers do. Look at this. Doesn't look anything scary, right? This predatory child abuse, pedophilia, rampant seeming to be going on in Hollywood, in the entertainment industry for a long time here. We got Herman Sherman, Jimmy, Frankie with George Goldner and Joel Kolsky. And Frankie with George Goldner again. Body language doesn't look suspicious at all. We got Goldner, Kolsky, Morris Levy, Philip Call. It's just, I guess that's the way. Also another, here's the manager of the Beatles is Mr. Brian Epstein. Here's Martin Lewis saying 50 years, no Brian Epstein, no Beatles. So the Beatles would not have existed. They give all the credit to Brian Epstein. And here we have Leor Cohen again to wrap us up with what he's saying about Jews involved with black music, with entertainment culture, with jazz.
Jewish people have always been involved in urban cultural arts, all the way back to the early beginnings of jazz music. It's just something that's always happened.
Right.
It's a blessing. It's a blessing.
I think that makes.
Now here is last clip I want to show. This is, what's his name? Donald Rushkin, Douglas Rushkoff, talking about a concern that we may have, all the people with all this influence in the music industry, the kind of stuff that they're promoting, and all the artists that have spoken out, and their biases or what their agenda might be, or what their inherent revolutionary spirit that they might have. And here's some insight that we might get on that.
The thing that makes Judaism dangerous to everybody, to every race, to every nation, to every idea, is that we smash things that aren't true. We don't believe in the boundaries of nation state. We don't believe in the ideas of these individual gods that protect individual groups of people. These are all artificial constructions, and Judaism really teaches us how to see that. In a sense, our detractors have us right, in that we are a corrosive force. We're breaking down the false gods of all nations and all people because they're not real. And that's very upsetting to people.
One more time, the rap industry is
In a sense, our detractors have us right, in that we are a corrosive force. We're breaking...
Hard to argue that the rap industry was not a corrosive force. Some other corrosive forces in our culture. I wonder if it'll be legal anytime to talk about who controls other vices like gambling or pornography, or not to mention we got Goldstein, Wicked Pictures, Orenstein, Greg Lansky, Blacked, Stephen Hirsch, Vivid, Pornhub with the menorah, with the stuff that the degeneracy that's being promoted. Also, sports, the distraction of sports. Why, this is forward, why are so many pro basketball owners Jewish, like Donald Sterling, who said the racist stuff? And then we have, nearly half the principal owners of NBA teams are Jewish. Hear that? Nearly half of NBA team owners are Jewish, as are the league's current commissioner and its immediate past commissioner. And also, NFL comes closest after NBA. Roughly a third of that league's owners are Jewish. And then we get into Hollywood also, all the stuff that Hollywood promotes. Is Hollywood run by Jews? You bet. Who runs Hollywood? Come On by Joe Olstein, LA Times. He says Jews totally run Hollywood. Who Said Jews Run Hollywood inaugurals a list of 100 prominent players in Tinseltown, shows a lack of diversity and a whole lot of mots, which means members of the tribe. And that's Iger. Here we have Jewish Journal, Rachel Weisz, on why Hollywood Jews prefer blondes. Rachel says, Hollywood's run by Jews. I was advised by an American agent when I was about 19 to change my surname, and I said, quote, why? Jews run Hollywood. He said, exactly. He had a theory that all the executives think acting is a job for shiksas, which means goyim girls, goyim women. So all of this control is so important. Who controls the levers of power? Who controls finance? Who controls entertainment? Who controls the media? Who controls the news? Who controls the government? All of these things are things that nobody should be saying, that you can't say this. You can't talk about who's controlling it. It's the most important things, who runs the world. And other people are allowed to talk about it if they're in the protected class, such as Milo or Laura Loomer.
My mother is Jewish, so according to Jewish law, I'm Jewish, matrilineally speaking. That's their rules. One of the
telling me I own the central banks every day. I don't know what
We do run everything. Facts can't be racist, you know? Jews do, like, are vastly overrepresented in the media, vastly overrepresented in banking.
You say you're seeing all this stuff bubble up on social media. Well, let me take the ultimate example, what remains the big taboo in society, which is anti-Semitism, right? Most of the Generation Trump, the alt-right people, the people who like me, they're not anti-Semites. They don't care about Jews. They may have some assumptions about Jews. They may have some prejudice about Jews, like the Jews run everything. Well, we do. The Jews run all the banks. Well, we do. The Jews run the media. Well, we do. You know, I mean, they're right about all that stuff. Now, what you do with that is the issue. But the reason they go on about...
I don't even know where to start with that, so just go.
We do. It's a fact. This is not in debate. It's a statistical fact. You know, Jews run most of the banks. Jews completely dominate the media, vastly disproportionately represented in all of these professions. That's just a fact. It's not anti-Semitic to point out statistics. I'm suggesting to you, it's not anti-Semitic to point out that these things are true.
Not anti-Semitic to point out statistics. Yet the state government, state.gov, State Department website says that defining anti-Semitism, one of the terms of anti-Semitism is saying myths about Jews controlling the media, economy, or government or other societal institutions. I made the joke recently that it's a conspiracy theory. It's an anti-Semitic... it's Jews controlling Israel is an anti-Semitic conspiracy theory, because they say that it's anti-Semitic to say that they control anything. So controlling Israel must be a conspiracy too that we're not allowed to talk about. Anti-Semitic conspiracy. So they defined on the state government website, they can't say that we control anything, but yet we got Zionists like Laura Loomer who say it, and they're allowed to say it. Hate to break it to you, Goyams, but Jews do control the banks and the media. Sincerely, Laura Loomer. She says not only is there a heavy presence of Jews in the media, but they also dominate Hollywood. And then she starts listing them. Jewish owners, CEOs of top media companies. Fox News, Rupert Murdoch, Jeff Zucker, Brian Roberts, NBC, Murray Rothstein, Robert Iger, Arthur Sulzberger, Mark Zuckerberg. The list goes on and on and on. They're allowed to say it. We're not. We're not allowed to say who rules over us. Here's Murdoch talking about who, he's in the place to know. Rupert Murdoch, the guy behind Fox News, News Corp. He knows who runs the media, and even he's not allowed to say it. It's like, it's the unspeakable truth that everybody knows, the elephant in the room, the taboo topic that we're not allowed to address.
He tweeted again, why is Jewish-owned press so consistently anti-Israel in every crisis? And it set off a little bit of a firestorm. What happened? What was the reaction?
The reaction was that people said this was outrageous. I found it stunningly offensive, Soledad. First of all, Jewish-owned press, the old anti-Semitic stereotype about Jews controlling the media, and then saying anti-Israel, Merrick's very pro-Israel. And somebody needs to keep this guy away from the Twitter.
Where he talks about the Jewish-owned media. Because as you said, that's like, come on, give us something that's not 100 years or thousands of years old and just flat wrong. But just to sort of lay out the elephant in the room.
And then we have the Times of Israel. Jews do control the media. So how they speak out of one side of their mouth and say that it's anti-Semitic to even imply or say that they control anything, even if it's statistically provable, if you can support it with the evidence, and then they say it's not true, but also we're jealous and they are, and they can brag about it. It's just so ridiculous. But we have to address the elephant in the room. We have to address the elephant in the room. We can't be scared to talk about who controls things. The media is so important. I'll say it the last time. Who controls the media controls society. Who controls the music? Music is just like 4-minute repetitive mind control songs. It's awful. I can't tell you all the people in my life, all of my old friends from high school and middle school, that they start listening to music. It starts shaping who they are. Literally, all my white friends like got tattoos and they got all into Lil Wayne and rap and everything and just glorified thug culture, and they wanted to emulate it and be just like it. And it's just imagine it, like we've seen what's happened to black neighborhoods and with their music. It's just been so sad. What happened to Michael Jackson and in this industry is really does need to be cleaned up, and we need to not be afraid to talk about who has the levers of power and who is behind things. Thanks everyone for watching and sticking with me. I am Adam Green with No More News. I'm going to be coming out with a video shortly. Oh, here's something else I forgot to mention. I'm going to be doing a video about the most famous Palestinian rapper pretty soon with his interview. And because I asked him about this, about who controls the media, if he's had any discrimination being a Palestinian rapper. But maybe in his experience over there in Palestine, it's been a little bit different. Something else I forgot to mention when I was showing Sumner Redstone, or otherwise known as Murray Rothstein, behind MTV and BET and all this stuff, who's really at the top of the pyramid benefiting from this whole culture. MTV is so anti-white, so racist, so degenerate. All these videos about MTV attacking white people. Their agenda is completely clear. It's all about division. It's almost like redemption through sin, Sabbatean Frankist. So that's all for now, guys. NoMoreNews.org. I'm Adam Green with No More News. Email list, donate button with PayPal. Thanks everyone for the support. It keeps me going. If you value content like this, want to see more No More News, want to help me out and to bring more info like this, please support. I'll see you in the next video. Adam Green, No More News. That's all for now.